Guys, welcome back to the Shooters Roll podcast made by fans for the fans. Today we're talking the old rivalry between two of the oldest teams. You got the Lakers and the Celtics. So specifically, we're talking about the 2010 year. Spoiler alert: the Lakers win it. I've got I've basically got the biggest Celtic Lakers fans on board. So let's introduce the panel. So on my left, I got Sony from all the way from London. Thank you for jumping on, bro.
Hey guys, no problem, Chum. Happy to be here.
Cool. And then you got your other side, the Lakers fan. You got Peng, which struggled to get onto Zoom. What's up, man? And
no
you got,
idea.
but you know about Lakers. That's all we care about. And you got Cang Dang. Cang, how are you, man?
Everybody.
Cool.
Good, man. Good.
So to sit on the table, myself and Sony will be we are Celtics fans, and the bottom two are the Lakers fans. Okay, so
No idea, man.
let's get into it. All right. So the first thing we want to paint the picture, I guess, of where we were in 2010. It was the finals, Lakers, of course, versus Celtics, and the coaches. So yeah, Phil Jackson on one side. And was it Doc Rivers on the other side?
Doc Rivers.
Sonny?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
Rivers.
Let's start with you, Sonny. This matchup, let's talk about it quickly.
Yeah, I think it was a long time coming because it was the third year during the Celtics dynasty, where they won the first year they got together with KG and Ray Allen. Hate that guy. And they didn't see each other again the following year, and I think a big part of it was because KG was injured. So this was sort of a long time coming where both teams were back in the finals. They both won the championship each.
Yep, but talk about, I guess, the coaching. Like, who had the upper hand?
I mean, it's hard to say. I'm going to be biased, right? I think Doc Rivers is very good with X's and O's. Who's very good out of timeouts. Their style of play was more like sort of defense orientated, whereas Phil Jackson's triangle offense. So really good matchup in terms of. I mean, I don't like high scoring games. I like very close, low scoring games. It's a bit more gritty, a bit more old school. So I think those two styles work well against each other.
Yep. Let's go, you, Kang. The Lakers bandwagons.
Mate, Phil Jackson, what do you say? Well, he's got more rings than he's got fingers. And the good triangle offense, what do you want to say about the triangle offense, mate? Produces championships. And that's what it comes down to. Okay. We lost to you guys in 2008, which was painful because I was in LA at the time and the experience wasn't great. But 2010, like, you guys barely scraped through. Yep. You guys caused a lot of upsets on your way through to get back into the finals. But, I think your big three wasn't as strong as it was a couple of years ago. And Rondo wasn't going to take on the full force of the Lakers. So yeah, Phil Jackson, he's just a phenomenal coach. What can we say? Like, his track record speaks for itself. So of course we're going to go with the Lakers and Phil Jackson.
Cool. And Peng, did you want to add into that?
I honestly thought Phil Jackson was, he was a very, very good man manager, as much as a coach. You look at him with Chicago and what he had to deal with those 6 championships as well. He had a lot of egos to deal with. And, going into the Lakers too, winning 5 with Kobe and then having to struggle with not much in between and then getting Pau Gasol. Also winning the 2010, he had to figure out how to get Pau Gasol to get out of his shell. And he did that pretty well. I mean, 2008, he got dominated by KG. But then he came back in 2010 and then he gave him the business. He gave KG the business. And, in Game 7, he went, what did he do? 19-18. He sealed the deal. Some argued, without Phil Jackson pushing him, he might not come out of his shell. And he would have been soft for the rest of his career.
Can I add something there? Just as a...
Rebuttal, Sonny.
Well, I mean, they lost Kendrick Perkins in Game 7. That was a big loss. You know what happened. Kobe extended his knee when he was coming down for that rebound. You know it. That's right. And like to say that the Celtics like just scraped through, we were just one quarter away from winning it all. We were like up, 11, 13, 4?
Hey, let me back in.
So yeah, we battle already. Panger, what do you think?
So Sonny's saying Kendrick Perkins. I'm telling him, you know,
We're not about big men
led
yet.
by-
Hey guys, we're not about big men yet. We're just talking about coaches. We'll get there.
Oh, okay. Let's
All right, calm
we'll
down.
Get there. Okay.
Calm down, you Laker fans. Always jumping on the waves. Don't get too excited.
Sonny's just jumped the gun, and I just. All right, go on, let's go.
Because it's on my side, he can get away with it. So, all right. So my argument, right? What my argument is, Phil Jackson hasn't won without a superstar. He needed Jordan. He needed Kobe. He needed Shaq. He needed Pippen. So that's it. so my edge goes.
Are you
to
saying
Doc.
Doc
Yeah,
hasn't won without superstars?
He won with superstars, but he's only won one, so you can't really compare, right? So.
And what are you talking about? They've got the big three. These guys are Hall of Famers. Actually, no, you had Ray Allen too.
Phil's getting goats. He's getting goats. That's a different level.
But now you're talking about star management. How do you convince a GOAT to play within a system, which is the triangle offense? And that produces championships.
Yep, we have our views. All right, let's move on to the next one. Okay, so we pre-jumped the next one, right? So let's talk about the big men. So I think in 2009 when they lost, or 2008 when they lost, Pau Gasol's toughness was in question. I'm going to start with Peng.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt. 2008. I mean, Pau, he was very tentative, you know, and KG just ripped him a new one. KG went and I don't know, he was doing what 20, 23, 24, and 12 rebounds a game. You know, 2 or 3 blocks a game. Coming into 2010, Pau Gasol was, you know, getting traded there already. He was already producing. There was a lot of games where, you know, he was getting multiple blocks. I think one in game 2, he had 6 blocks. You know, the final game 7, he had 3 blocks, you know, so he manned the paint as well because Bynum was gimp. He had two bung knees, you know, and, you know, he was draining fluids for 7 games. And, you know, Sony was talking about Kendrick Perkins, you know, being a difference. But the Celtics led by 13 with 13 minutes to play. Game 7, you don't lead by 13 and lose. End of story. You know, the Kendrick Perkins, yeah, he could have manned the paint. He could have looked after, but is he 13 points lead good enough? You know, that's the question.
Yeah, Sonny?
I still think that it would have made a huge difference because the Lakers at that time, they were considered really long, really big, right? They didn't just have, you know, Gasol's, Bynum. Even if he had bung knees, he was still good for a certain number of minutes. They had Odom. Compared to the Boston lineup, yeah, they had KG and Kendrick Perkins, but I think that they were thin, after those guys. Look, it still burns me, so, you know, I think Pau Gasol did, you know, come through in the end, but look, them beating Orlando the year before as well would have helped. I don't know what it would have been like if they saw each other again in that second year. So, I mean, 1 quarter away, I still reckon it was still close. And yeah, it was just a couple of buckets either way.
Cang?
You guys had Rasheed Wallace too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wallace has been a world championship before there as well. So you had the experience. So to drop the last quarter of game 7, you just got beat by a better team, man. Like that's you can't go into the last quarter of a championship game and lose if you're up by 13. Like it doesn't matter if Kendrick Person was there or not. Like you guys had the lead. You know, so we talking about, you know, who was there or who wasn't there, it doesn't actually make a difference because, you know, teams, you play with who you have, right? And you deliver as a team. NBA championships are won by team. That's pure and simple, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think Pau stepped up. I think in the first year where I guess when we won, Yeah, they really took advantage of him because Powell wasn't ready for that showtime, like playing with Kobe, being in the limelight. I think this year or the year that we were discussing, the championship Lakers year, he really he really grew up really quick. Watching that game live on TV, I can, I guess it's painful to lose, but at the same time, as a player, pretty proud of how he stood up, like to get squashed by
Mm.
KG like 2 years before. He's a bully. Like he's a bully. He doesn't give a shit. He's a bully. So and you know it was a feel good story, especially we're going to discuss the guards soon. Yeah, with Kobe not playing that well, Power pretty much took it home. So I give him that. Let's get into, I guess, the front court then. So small forward, you got I guess the key players. You know, you got the truth. And then I guess from the Lakers, you had Kobe, the MJ clone. So I'll start with Peng. What, what do you think? I guess they didn't match up all the time, but in terms of their influence on their teams.
Paul Pierce had a massive influence 2008, but 2010, I thought he was a bit quiet. You know, he had one game that he did do really well in. In terms of like consistency with the guards, I think Rondo had the better game out of all the guards involved. Ray Allen had one standout game and then he went missing. But in regards to Paul Pierce, I thought he was a bit quiet, you know, and believe it or not, I was riding him to shoot more because he was hitting bricks. You know, Kobe was doing the same. I'm sure Sony saying the same thing, that he was wishing Kobe was shooting more as well. But, you know, Kobe in the end, he did things where, you know, he was putting his head where people wouldn't put his feet. You know, he did everything to win. He willed the team to win. You know, 15 rebounds, game 7 for a guard. You know, that's that's kind of tells you what Kobe was willing to do to even though his shot wasn't falling, he was impacting the game elsewhere. You know, and he had, I think, game 3, game 4, he had 3 blocks as well. So on the defensive end, he was there. Paul Pierce, I think he was tied down by Metta World Peace because he was niggling him all through the series. I mean, Metta World Peace or Ron Artest, I think he was still then. You know, very, very big guy, and I think he just wore him down. So, you know, that's my point. I think Kobe was much better than Paul Pierce in this series, whereas in 2008, I think Paul Pierce overall was better than Kobe there.
True. Son?
Yeah, I'd have to agree that what Peng mentioned. I recall vividly praying that Kobe was going to shoot the ball more because he wasn't shooting very well. But then at the end, he had a few timely passes to key guys that stepped up. I think that was the key thing. The role players stepping up. You know, Metta World Peace. Peng likes to remind me all the time.
The jab step?
Yeah, the jab step and 3-pointer, and I think Derek Fisher hit a key shot as well. So I think that was the decider at the end because they made a big run towards the end and we couldn't recover. So yeah, Kobe did his thing. He still scored pretty well. I mean, obviously not like monster numbers. Paul Pierce, didn't score as much as he would normally, especially during a finals. But yeah, I think the decider was those key other guys that those stars found. Yeah.
Anything to add, Cang?
Look, I think what it came down with was that I think the Lakers had a bit more trust in their supporting players. So the stars had the belief that the supporting players would step up. Kobe had the belief that Powell would be the superstar that he needed to be. And everybody else in the team delivered. It felt like the Celtics were, Rondo was trying to find help, but he really didn't get it, whether they were a lot older or the supporting cast, didn't step in that last quarter to make buckets when they should have. I mean, from memory, you guys had chances that were just, you were just missing, and you didn't have. Paul Pierce never stepped in to actually say, you know what, I'm taking this game, and I'm taking this championship. So I think that was probably the difference between Paul Pierce, in my opinion, to Kobe Bryant, is that even if Kobe Bryant's not, shots aren't falling, he's going to force the game to be played his way, and get the results. So.
Yep. Have you guys watched Game of Zones, the cartoon? So at the end,
Not all of it.
the truth is the GOAT. If you ever watched it, the last series. So I think that both star players, both MVP type players, they pretty much played each other to even. But I felt that Kobe wanted it just that little bit more in the last game. Like I think Peng touched on it, and he just wanted it more. And I don't think if Paul Pierce went extra 10%, they wouldn't knocked each other out, and would have seen maybe a different result. But it is what it is, and that's what we're here discussing it for. All right. Let's go to. Let's just I guess sum up. Just overall, I know pretty much Sony's the diehard Celtic fan out of us two, and Peng's a diehard Lakers fan. So this is your moment, guys. Whatever you guys want to talk about in that series, go at it. Let's start with you, Peng.
For me, I enjoyed game 2 because that's where Ray Allen came to the fore. I think he went 8 for 12, 8 for 11 from 3. Sonny texted me, this was 10 years ago, I still remember, and it goes, the green mamba strikes, it hits you nice and slow, but he hits you hard. The venom hits you hard. And I was like, this guy. Yeah, and then, anyways, following the next 3 games, the green mamba went 0 from 16 from deep, at an average of, 8 points or something. And, I thought back now, if I was to give Allen those 8 3-pointers and knew that he would go the next 3 without hitting one, I'd take that any day of the week. That's the memory I have in regards to 2010 with me and Sonny anyways, but it will always be game 7, NBA finals going 7 games down to the wire. And, I believe the best team won. And it's also the second game, the revenge, so to speak, because I think Sonny kept needling me about it, and when they did finally win it, it was a massive relief. And I think up until this point, I'm 35, 36, I rate that as my favourite sporting achievement in terms of watching my teams play, even from rugby league, cricket or whatever, that is the number one, and I still think to this day, apart from my kids, that's my second best highlight in my life, watching the Lakers beat the Celtics in 7 games.
So your kids are number 2 or your kids are number 1?
At the time, I didn't have kids. It was number 2. Now the Lakers is number 2.
And your wife's standing behind you, okay? Yeah. Or your kids are behind you. No.
My kids are at home. So yeah, I'm interested to see what Sonny would have to say.
Let's go, Sonny. Celtic Pride.
Oh man, it still burns me to this day, especially when Peng likes to remind me. Whenever we're getting to some banter, he always reverts back to 2010. But I mean, it's still one apiece, let's say, during that period. So it's not like, they're up per se. Yes, they did get the last one, and definitely concede they were the better team at that time. And it's kind of like poignant now because after Kobe passed away, it's like loving to hate him for so long, being on the other team. And then just growing to respect him, it's sort of bittersweet, I found myself wanting to get a Kobe jersey, just as a memento because of the battles that he's had with the Celtics, particularly with Paul Pierce. So, I think, it's pretty surreal, and I only have fond memories of hating them in a good way. So. If only they could have had one more after that, that would have been
awesome. Just for the viewers, we used to call Cang the Kobe Bryant of our rec league team, because he had all the gear, and he played like him. So respect, bro.
Thanks, Drew. Yeah, look, I mean, to be honest, going to the last quarter of Game 7, I was scared. because I knew we'd have to hear it from the guys, especially my brother's a huge Celtics fan, so I would have heard it forever from him. I heard it forever when we lost in 2008. Like I said, I was in LA when we lost, and I've never seen a city mourn, like literally as if somebody died the night we lost the championship to the Celtics. Like I went to Walmart to get some gifts for my cousins, and everybody in Walmart everybody's quiet. Everybody's going, did anyone watch the game? And everyone's like, nah, we don't want to talk about it. Like the US really take it really seriously. But yeah, going to the fourth quarter, I was super scared. Like the Celtics weren't a team that you would ever feel would drop that type of lead. But yeah, look, I love the fact that the Lakers stepped up. They stopped, they played defense, and they executed like that. But being able to watch that type of basketball is tremendous. Like I love it. I love the fact that there is that rivalry, and that quality of basketball. Being able to watch two great teams go at it like that makes it. That makes us really want to watch basketball. But again, like Peng, I'm so glad that the Lakers won. So I don't have to hear it from my brother and Sonny when we talk about which legacy is better. And the fact that again now talking about Kobe Bryant and his passing, obviously that's probably hits us Lakers fans a bit harder. But we love the way that they had those battles. So that year was special for us.
Yep, cool. I guess my summary is the Celtics, the big three was a bit older. So we're just hanging on. We're hanging on. If we could have won another one, it'd be great. But yeah, the Lakers were on the rise, and yeah, they dominated, I guess, and then they went back to back. So yeah, and with all the comments, I agree with all of them. So cool, guys. Yeah. Any more?
I got a Lakers question, but doesn't have to do with the 2010 series. Can I ask it or?
Ask it, bro.
So this is to the Lakers fans, right? Like, I know Peng didn't like LeBron, right? He hated LeBron.
Oh, here we go.
Now that LeBron's on your team, right? How would you feel if LeBron brings a championship to LA, and pretty much this one's for Kobe sort of thing? How would you feel? Would you feel torn, or would you?
Look, you bleed gold and purple. It doesn't really matter who's there. If he's capable to bring the championship, then I don't have any issues. Yeah, it's almost like the same respect we have for Paul Pierce. Like if Paul Pierce came to LA and brought us a championship, I'd cheer him. Like I have no issues. It's got nothing to do with players themselves. I respect most of the NBA players.
Yeah, it's
fun to hate on them because they're on a different team. Yeah. But when they're wearing your colors, absolutely no complaints, man. If you wanted to win one for a Kobe, fine. If you wanted to win another 3, we'll be glad to take all that, Yeah. So that's my take. Is just no issues there.
That's fair.
Peng, closing statement.
Well, look. I mean, if LeBron brings it, it's 18 banners a piece. I'll take that. Like to equal, Boston with the amount of championships they have. Like Cang said, I love hating on players, but LeBron's getting on as well. Like you got to appreciate greatness where it's there. Like you don't want him to retire, whether he's playing for the Lakers, the Heat or Cavaliers, and then look back and just think to yourself, I didn't appreciate him. What he does now, like especially his work on his body and how he looks after himself. I mean, you got to just hand it to him, regardless if he's playing for the Lakers, Celtics. It doesn't matter. The guy's a true professional, and yeah, to answer Sonny's question, of course I'll be happy, and I'd be lying because when you go for your team, it doesn't matter who you play for. But what I do have something to ask for Sonny is like, do you still love Ray Allen, or you like his bike shorts that he posts on Facebook?
Ray Allen's dead to me.
He won you the championship. He won us the championship. 2008.
What he did, what happened? That's a whole other segment, to be honest.
Yeah, we'll get to it next time.
The Green Mamba. The Green Mamba.
Who's that?
Thanks, boys. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for giving us the time. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
That's it.
Thanks, bro.
Guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thanks,
See
Trill.
you guys.
Thanks,
See
guys.
ya.
Thanks,
See you,
Trill.
Kang.
Yeah.
Bye.
Stay big.
Bye.